Dutchman's Wood Shack. Today, I'm going to do a real quick update on what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm going to do some resin work today. A couple of things I want to show you. It's a must when you're doing this. One thing is, since resin is it acts kind of funny when you mix wood or any kind of debris other than the resin itself into it. Today I'm going to be putting a bunch of these pine cones in there. So a couple of things I had to do before ahead of time. I wanted to do it before you guys came on to show you without making a lot of noise. My compressor is back in a hole there. And basically, I don't know if you can see this. Basically, this compressor is leaning on its side. Okay, so the compressor in here, I drain it. Now there's a petcock in here. There's a little valve. You hear it? Okay, so as I'm doing that, I'm also, after it runs a little bit, use the air hose here. After it runs a bit, what I want to do is drain as much moisture as I can. The problem is with my setup. Okay, so I have it in my filter. The lid, the crock pot. The problem is, I actually need to be a little bit more. I have all my stuff in the way, and I'm going to have to do some modifications, move things around a little bit. But if I got rid of the radio arm, I could put that thing over there and do all this stuff this way. I use the radio arm for sanding from this, and it works out pretty good. So what I'm doing now is trying to get as much moisture out of the tank that I can. It's a pan compressor, so it's not very big. I've had it for a long time. I used to use it for doing wood floors and stuff, and it was great, but because it's portable. Okay, so now while it's running, I've tried to see if I can flush it out. The reason I did it earlier too, there's still a lot of stuff in there. If you can feel cold air coming out of this and it tells you there's too much moisture in that line, I've got 50-foot net, my retractable thing, and then my retractable device, and then there's another can going to it, so it's about 65, 70 pounds, 70 feet, and you want to be able to drain as much moisture as you can out of it. It does not like moisture, especially with wood. Hey, Wade, how you doing? No, it's not clean. Dude. I gotta do a thorough cleanup. I want to take and put wood on this. I don't know if I want to do that or not, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Why? No, I'm just on here, you know. A lot of times I just turn it on and go at it and let people, you know. I do it with the training room down there. Now, the training room, I'm on that all the time. And you probably know that, my training room. I have a blast. The other night, my neighbors came down. We were, the girls were talking fused glass, because my wife does fused glass. She's an artist. And the neighbor is too. So, myself and my friend Greg, my neighbor Greg, came down here and we played around with a train for about an hour down there. And it was a party. But the girls came down and it was fun. I always invite people. It's a party down here. What do you want? Hey, listen, let me tell you, Wade, if you were here close by, come on over. I invite all the people over. So as soon as that compressor gets shut off, I'll do some more. Okay, so now while that's going, I measured this much. All right. This is how much fluid I want to make, how much resin I want to use. But there's a key. Okay, so the key is this. Now, how much mass is in this? You know, do a little bit of math. So I figure probably about that much. From here to here. A couple ounces, 3-4 ounces worth. So what I want to do, now, and this is the thing with resin, it'll do this. I'm going to take and mix it up in here first. I'm going to take one of these just like that. Same idea. And what I did is I measured it with a glass of water. I put it in there first. But I want to heat up stuff, so I can't put it. I normally would put this and this in my kiln, but the kiln's all. I have to rearrange and everything. I don't want to move it right now. I'm running. See, I'm lacking space in here. So what I'll do, since that's shut off now, which is a good thing, is I'll warm these two things up right before I go to mix it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is pick out what I want. Now, I'm going to get some gloves too, but I have all these things. Now, if you wanted to do separate things, like these cups from the dollar store work out. I love the dollar store. You can get all kinds of stuff. But like when I was doing my turtles, the turtles were like 2 or 3 different colors, 3 different colors. And you mix these separately in the color with the dyes. The problem with the dyes is it's very hard to operate. You have to barely put. What I usually do is I stick a stick in there, and then barely put a little bit in that cup, because what happens is the dyes make it. It doesn't take much for it to turn that whatever particular color that is dark real fast. You don't want it. So these are powdered stuff. Now, what my plan is to make a Christmas tree. Now, I love using this stuff. So the problem with this again, everything in here you have to put in a real light amount, and it's very, very messy. All right. So I did at one time have another. I had some gold stuff right here. The problem with the gold stuff, it tends to coagulate at the bottom and not at the top. And I thought about throwing some of that gold stuff in with this to make my Christmas tree. But it's, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some gloves. Now, I highly recommend using gloves, because this stuff will stain your fingers. So I should have been using that with the tank. I bet you I could take about 10 ounces of water out of the tank every day. 10 ounces. That's a lot. So when I'm doing this, there's a couple of things you got to do. The resin I'm using says it sets up with 10 to 12, about 12 minutes. But here's what happens. All right. Part of the thing is you could work it longer. I've done that before. And it just depends on how you play it. Resin is kind of funny. As long as you get the same parts equal. So what I usually do is I usually measure on here. But I've got an idea right about here. So, but if you could measure it too. I measure, So what I usually do is I take a marker. I'll measure this first. You can do weights and measures. I just the last couple of times I've been doing this, I've just measured. So I'm at 5.5 inches. Okay, so 5.5 inches here. That's 5.5 inches there. All right. So what's 5.5? What's half of 5.5 inches? So that'd be 5, right about there, right? So what I usually do is I measure from here to here. Well, that was a trick. See, I flipped that and they didn't even know it. 5 3/4 inches is where I want, or 2 3/4. 2 3/4 inches there, and that'd be 2 3/4 there. So that's 50-50. All right, that's how a lot of times how I measure this. So what I'll do is I'll just take this, and that's where I want half of it, half the others, and the other half right here. Now, here's the key. Since you're not going to be using all the fluid, so what do? You cut it down, right? So my guess would be right here. So I would go like this, and I would go about here. This is now I'm guessing, right? So you might have some left over. And that's about the same spot. That's what I'm doing. Okay, I'm guessing. You want to get technical, you can get I've got a weight, I've got a measuring, I don't even know where it's at now, unless somebody took it. She probably is. Anyway, I should move these chairs out of the way. Yeah, someday I'm going to put something under here. This thing is kind of crazy. So, what I'm doing now, for the 2 people watching, thank you. Okay, I'm going to begin the process. First off, I'm going to take pour A into about there, right? Oh, that was a lot. Okay, so that's A. So B, you want to go to here. Maybe. Oh, the thing's stuck. No. You know what? I can never have enough tools. Okay, so now we're going. Just about there. Okay, so now begins the process. I got new stuff too, by the way, of mixing it. Now I'm going to sit here and mix it for a little bit. It's going to take a little bit to do. So before I even color it, I want to make sure I mix. And the reason I'm mixing it is to get the bubbles out. One of the big things I had issues with on one of my projects was bubbles. And sometimes I mix it for about 5 minutes and then I let it set. It's workable. I've gone longer. I like 15 minutes before I put it in. It just depends on what I'm playing with, you know. Now this stuff has to sit in a kiln. Since I'm starting at about 11 o'clock, I think. What time is it? 11:06. Okay, so probably by the time I get it in, it's at probably 11:15 or so. I can get it and take it out probably by 5 or 6 in the evening, but I'll probably be waiting until about 7 or 8. Or when you're doing stuff with wood or any kind of material, sometimes leaving it sitting overnight makes a difference. So I might just leave it in here overnight. So, see this wood here, as I was turning this, and I don't know what kind of wood that is, but you can see it's punky. It's very punky. It's very rotten in the middle. It's spalting. And, I was asking somebody in my woodworking club, do I keep it? Do I keep going or do I throw it? So I haven't got a reaction yet, but all right. So what I'm going to do here, now this stuff is you don't want to put too much in. Okay, so what happens is you put too much in and it just gets darker. I've got a plan. That's about what I want. Now, I'm going to sit here and fool with it. Man, now look at that water and it looks kind of crappy. I might have to put more in there. And that's the other thing about mixing. Now, one thing you don't want to do is use a mixer because it mixes too much RPM and it creates bubbles. You want to try and get the bubbles out. So, ouch. Too much. I feel like I'm making chocolate. Huh. Now, who do we got out there? We got a bunch of people out there yet? Come on in. Yeah, that stuff is not really. See, I don't want to make it too dark because I'm going to form it like a Christmas tree. So, unfortunately, I couldn't find anything that would work as a mold formed like a Christmas tree, so I don't have to gouge the crap out of it, but there's probably something out there. This is going to be probably not a Christmas tree, a vase. Use a vase. And there's a lot of different ways. I like experimenting with this stuff, but the problem is it's expensive. I did some turtles, and I had them at my last show last week. A week before, not last weekend, but the weekend before last. Didn't sell, which I thought would be. And they're like $10 or something, maybe. So, I don't know. People are getting smart with their money. That's all I can say. Smarter. Now, first thing I got to do before I pour that in, otherwise you never get it out. You have this stuff that's supposed to be, it's for the molds. Now I don't need to heat it up, but I usually take this and heat it up. This is a heat gun. Instead of putting it into my kiln, I use this. The kiln, it's. I mean, I use it. The kiln's kind of nice, but by the time it gets up to where I want it, it takes a lot longer. This works pretty good, and it's quick on the fly. So now we're gonna do this. See this? We're gonna do this. Now, I just poured part of it in because now I'm going to put these in here. Now, here's the problem. Because these might be lighter. These pine cones are lighter. What happens is they all want to come up to the surface. So I'm stacking it, and I'm going to get it as tight as I can get it. So I figured that was probably as good as I can get it. Now, a couple of things I did ahead of time was I also checked the meter, the moisture. So what you do with these, you basically would check to see how much moisture is, because they've been around. They're dry enough. That's what these are. I got these at Hobby Lobby. Not very much. I think they were like a couple of bucks maybe. I don't know. I did have old, like I did this myself, and this was supposed to be for like this. The problem is it's twisted. You know, I need actually a wider cup. I used to do them in these. And the idea is when I made this base for it, I used to do it in these like this. But see, the problem is, you see how this is. When I carve it, I have to carve it like this. And so what happens is I'm taking a lot of this out. I don't want to do that. So I have to come up with a device where I've got a point on the end, a deeper cup, where the point at the top, that's where it's narrow. Like I need to add like 2 inches or 3 inches on the top of this. So I actually, and sometimes I need to use, you know what's really good? Is a 7-Eleven freeze cup. What do you call it? Icy cup. So that's the idea for that. That one there I made last year. Now that's about like what I wanted. And we'll see here. I got to put this in the hopper. Okay, so I'm going to put this in here. Now, there's a reason I didn't fill it all the way up too, because what happens is when I do that, it overfills. It does expand. So, and the other ones I did, it had an issue with that. So now, I make sure the seal's in there, right? Okay, so now, and my moisture collector right here is in here. I guess this would be my version of a guy's crock pot. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is plug it in. Plug it in, plug it in. Now I'm going to go up to about 65 pounds. Okay, we're good. I like to turn it off. Now, here's my last year I attempted to do something. This is kind of what I did. So this is what happened. See the wood? Okay, so the wood that was on here, there was a base like that wooden one I showed you. The problem with it is it turned this white because the wood was not dry enough. There was something wrong with the wood. Okay, so this idea here that I had was I was trying to carve it at an angle like a Christmas tree. There is a pine cone in there, but because it got off center, and what I usually do, I did this in the last one, is I make circles or rings around it and carve rings in it. But you see the way it's come, my tools reacted kind of funny. It kind of cracked it. And so what I did is it actually had a longer piece in here. So I cut that off, and I'm going to attempt to try and save this. But see, this is one reason why it's very difficult to work with resin. Okay, so number 2 and number 3, this is what I was trying to do with 112. I was going to take and carve this. I don't know if I could do it with this anymore, and this one was my latest one. So what happened with this one? Well, this one, for some reason, I think it got tipped over on its side or something. I don't remember. This one here, I tried something. I put one of a vase, a plastic vase in here. It melted it. It actually melted it. Now I had it in there straight, right? So I could probably still salvage it. I'd have to cut it off here, but again, and see how that's spotted on the bottom like that? That's not what I was looking for. So there's a guy out there named Jeff Hart, does a great job. I don't know how he does it. He does these orbs. He's on YouTube and he's on Facebook and all. You can look him up. The guy's name is Jeff Hart. He's great at this stuff. He's been to my club meetings a couple of times, and he does demos on this. He does big fancy art shows too, by the way. But anyway, what I need is to do is, and he doesn't give classes in this. I'd pay him to learn how to do this, because I got to tell you, I have not gotten it right yet. One time, and this is this one. And I kind of botched this one up a way. See, I like the way this one turned out, except, what do? It's just a piece of wood and resin, right? The two things, or the one thing that went, well, the two things I should say, one went wrong. First one was, you see this? Bubbles, right? So, that was the only place that I have bubbles is this spot. But it's because of the bark's hitting the outside right here. Now, the rest, the number 2 issue is when I put this in, I wasn't planning what should I do with this because I actually like this as it. But what I wanted to do is drill a hole in the middle, I guess, and put like a candle in there. That's what my idea is now. I don't know if I'm going to do that. No, hey, it's kind of a showpiece. This is a piece of red oak I got when we were doing some tree work and brush clearing over at Garfield Farm Museum. There's some great old oaks in there. The grain in this was great, and I didn't know what to do with it. I probably should have stood it up. Like I don't know, but that's the thing with resin work. You gotta. I have to have a better plan. So, and with this, I'm still working on that. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. It's kind of an oddball thing, So, if I could figure out a way to saw it, maybe I'll leave it. Maybe I'll turn it this way, and make maybe a candle holder out of it or something. I don't know. It's weird. This one here, I think I could salvage. I'll try it. Now, the thing about doing resin work is that you have to have sharp tools. And one thing I learned off a long time ago is this needs a negative rake in my tools. So I don't like to use metal ones on there. I mean, I have if I'm doing rough gouging, but you got to be careful because it kind of chunks out. This is the one I use all the time for that. If I'm going to do it, this is a CI5, and I have to replace this. What I'm going to, it's the negative rate. It's dull anyway, but that's the one I use the most of. When I get down to it's kind of a, when I get down to the finishing part, I spend a lot of time sanding. That's key. That's the key with this. Now, picture yourself working on a car. Picture yourself working on a car trying to paint it. It's kind of the same idea. You're getting down to some really fine sandpaper, like thousands of grits, and then you can do wet dry on there. That's another thing that's good. The other thing is now you got to polish it. Now you're looking at polishing and waxing and doing all this other stuff. It's time consuming. So everything that I use to mix things, I try to get from the dollar store because it's $1.75 or $1, whatever it is. It's cheap. The boss ordered these. They get 20 cups in one, but you want to get a lot of these. You want to get a lot of the mixing stuff, and be able to use, because you want to be able to throw it away. You don't want to have to clean it, and you can. You'll probably end up. I think you have to use mineral spirits, pink, to clean it out. But all right, so. Okay, so there's this latest thing that I got. All right. So the boss comes home. Our anniversary was last week. I got her a gift certificate to her favorite place, which is Ed Hoy. I love this idea because you can put stuff in there. All right, it'll fit. Now, the idea is I have all these little forms here. Now I'll do this tomorrow maybe. But like when you're doing resin work or stuff like this is going to be interesting because you don't need to mix a lot. So you got to be really careful how you do it. But I could put 2 sets on here, right? Basically what I would do is mix them, spray this stuff with the ease release before I mix them, put them on here, and basically put them in here and then put them in here like this. Oh, like this. There's cuts on the edge. Hello, Jeff. And there you go. That's pretty cool, huh? Now, my wife got me, so I could do 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that I could do mass quantities on it because I'm going to make some for the holidays. Now she does glass work, but it's kind of like that. See, it's so small though. That's what's going to be interesting because I don't know how the resin's going to work with this. So I'm going to probably do something like this first. Now I was going to say I was going to use sawdust in this, but sawdust is too thick. So the only thing I could think of would be sometimes I've saved this. Sometimes I get this Osage that puts out a powder. If you could get a powder from sawdust into it, that would work, because it is woodworking. But see, I could put that on there. That'd be kind of cool, right? And it even comes with this stuff. The only problem with this is it might be kind of hard to clean, so I don't know if I'm going to be using those. But yeah, I keep accumulating stuff and I don't have a place to put it, so it's probably going to go in here. I'm running out of room. But again, I got a moisture meter. It tells me, that's the big thing. If you do anything with wood, it tells me right off the bat. It'll tell me right off the bat how much moisture is around. Now, if I'm doing logs, if I'm doing something like this, that's the key with turning sometimes. It's dry wood. And that's why I have a kiln. But not all the time the kiln has, it is an issue too. So, all right. Having said that, kids, I think I'm done for today. And I'm going to take these off. I'll tell you what, I got to get different gloves. These are okay to a point. I use these to do a lot of stuff with, but it doesn't take much to rip them. So that's the one thing about woodworking. When you're doing varnishing and stuff, I have some other gloves that are the big ones, but it gets in the way all the time. So anyway, I want to say thank you to all you guys watching me. Questions or comments are always welcome. If you want to subscribe, tell you when I'm on, and hopefully I'm doing it right. Hopefully I'll get you enthusiastic about doing woodworking or resin work. I could use a combination. I'm doing stuff. The next episode we'll be doing probably tomorrow or Wednesday or whatever. On the next time I do it, I'll show you what it looks like when I pull it out, and then I'll be doing some other woodworking. So thanks again for watching the Dutchman's Wood Shack. Have a great day. And like I say, if you're not making sawdust, you're not being creative. So let's get with the program.